Nadia's hot and sweaty, which never happens. Why is it shaking so much?
Are you okay?
Can't hear anything anyone... Right, one of my major problems with Peaky Blinders is I couldn't see a thing and I can't understand a word anyone's saying.
Welcome to our Peaky Blinders review of episode 4 and 5 together, because we've been away, so we're doubling them up.
I'm eating a Strepsil because my cough has come back.
Over both episodes, before we go into the actual detail of the episodes, I think there were too many scenes that were too dark, and there was a lot of... Not gabbling, because people weren't gabbling, but it was quite a bit mumbling.
No, but when they talk, it's a Peaky Blind. You've got Scottish, you've got Brummie, you've got
Irish.
Chinese,
Irish.
You've got Irish. You've got very broad accents, and sometimes I just was struggling.
With a lot of sort of drunk sort of anger. So we'll park that, and we don't need to talk about that again. That's
Is that our
just
age?
what we found. I'm worried about that.
I'm sort of starting to think we're just sounding like right pair of old fogies.
You know how old people always start going, why is everyone mumbling on the television?
Shitty.
We've started saying that.
Okay, first things first, beginning of episode 4. For me, episode 4 is the Swan Lake episode. That's how we're going to characterise it. The Swan Lake episode, building towards that remarkable scene in the Shelby household where Oswald Mosley is comes to as a guest, and all sorts of unspeakable filth descends from there. But right at the beginning of this episode, episode 4, we had this sort of motif that's been running throughout the series of Tommy Shelby seeing visions of his Irish love from season 1. I think they're really rubbish. Earth calling Nadia.
I always find it very difficult when we have to travel back and see a ghost, but it was working better when they first started doing it, when they were attaching it to his opium.
Well, they are still.
Induced. No, but they were connecting it better. She's just popping up all over the time now. Well, we've not seen him take opium for weeks.
It's becoming a bit like a joke. It's like she's in a cupboard. He opens a cupboard and there she is.
And
He opens a drawer.
We're not
there
seeing him
is.
take any opium. We're seeing him drink vast amounts of brandy, but never look
Right.
even slightly pissed.
Right.
So that for me is the disconnect. If I was seeing sometimes the opium, so we're just going in and out of it, I could understand. I could believe it a bit more. But it has become just. It sticks out a bit like a sore thumb.
Well, she sticks out like a sore
That's
thumb
what I mean. Every
in the
time
corner of a room.
Yeah.
Yeah. And her accent, and she's a bit... I tell you what it reminds me of. It makes me feel like it's Linda McCartney appearing in the corner of something somewhere.
With her veggie burger.
With a veggie burger and a camera around her neck.
Don't get me wrong.
I
We
love Linda
love
McCartney.
this series.
Oh, sorry. So we love Linda
No, I don't love
McCartney
Linda
sausages.
I don't like her sausages.
Oh, no. I'm adoring the series. And I have to say, this is fully back up there. And we're now splitting hairs. What about the head of the Billy Boy's Glaswegian accent?
It's not good.
It's not strong, is it? No, it's going to be so funny if we find out he's Glaswegian.
It'll be hilarious.
That'd be hysterical. So the Chinese come into this episode, and the Chinese...
And very well. Good explosion. Great energy.
Oh, I thought you meant literally an explosion, because the explosion doesn't happen in this episode. But yeah, Tommy Shelby's having his MP's surgery in the back of a pub. I like that. It's quite cool.
I really liked that scene.
Yeah, the woman with the goldfinches.
Yeah.
I like that too. Do you reckon her husband's going to be killed?
He's going to get beaten.
He's going to get some new goldfinches. Anyway, so the Chinese managed to inveigle their way into
What I
his
loved
running
about
order.
that actually as well was when she talked about how her husband beat her up, I saw a flicker of pain across his and his brother's eyes.
Ah,
It's what had happened to their mother.
the abuse from their own father to their own mother. Yeah, I like all of that. The one thing that really works well in the whole thing, and I think they've really made it work in this episode, is the inherent family connection.
Yeah.
That filial bond.
They love each other.
They do love each other.
And they are all people that are locked, who are backed into a corner with no choices, aren't
No,
they?
absolutely.
So they're just doing what they have to do.
So here's the thing. The Chinese arrive in the form of Chang, who we thought was dead. They thought was dead.
I don't remember Chang.
I think even Chang thought he was dead.
I don't even remember Chang.
But Chang realised quite quickly in the back room of the pub that he wasn't dead. In fact, Chang wasn't only not dead, he had a shitload of opium. And
it was really
lies-
good
yeah.
when he laid it out on the table and chomped it in front of Tommy, because obviously he knows Tommy's an addict.
Yeah.
And like you said, you never want to run out.
Yeah, and you could see Tommy sort of...
So we've got that whole story
Which
going with a bigger opium, and that's going to involve the Glaswegian and all the gangs.
Yeah, so they're going to ship that,
they're going to recoup the money that they lost in the crash.
7 million tonnes, isn't it, to make £1 million or something, which we're talking about...
No, it wasn't 7 million tonnes, was it?
I think it was.
Well, no, it was 7 tonnes.
So seven tonnes to make £1 million, and that's a shed load of money back then. What do you think of Polly in this sort of wandering around? She sort of just, you rightly said, she sort of pulls up, smoking a fag, drops it, takes her shoes off, and that's that.
Those of you that watch us regularly know that Helen McCrory can do no wrong.
Especially in that sex scene. Do you
As can Cillian Murphy do no wrong. I love them. I think they are bloody brilliant. I want to give them Oscars and Emmys and everything. But she hasn't really been given a part. So she is in the classic form, milking it for all it's worth, and I love it. You know, all she did was pull up in a car and get out of it.
I know what you mean.
My God, she made a whole movie.
I know what you mean. They've sort of removed her narrative arc because there was that. I can't remember which season it was where there was the great drama around her and Michael, her son.
It's almost like she probably wasn't going to do it because she was signed up to a movie, and then they've got her in it, but they can't really write her in.
Yes.
It's really odd because I can't imagine Helen McCrory putting up with the fact that she has so little to do. So I can only assume she dropped in last minute.
Yeah. What do you make of the Irish chap, Aidan, actor called Aidan, I forget what his name is. He was big in Game of Thrones. He played Littlefingers, I think.
Who does he play?
He plays the one that Shelby hitches up with Polly. I mean, they've had a bit of a thing in the past, Polly and the guy.
I think he gives the oddest performance I've ever seen. It's almost like he's reading it.
Well, yeah, but he delivers his lines in quite a strange voice.
Yeah.
And that's what he's like in Game of Thrones.
Oh, maybe...
And I just wonder if that's how he talks, always from the shadows.
I don't want to be unkind, but for me, it's not working.
You don't like him. I love him.
No, I don't not like him. It's just...
I thought he was great in the first series. I just think, again, his narrative point is a little bit simple. It's like he's simply there to marry...
Avenge. No, avenge his
Well, no,
son.
avenge that. But first of all, he's got to... oh, hey, look, I've just done 10,000 steps. So there's all of that going on. So Polly's narrative arc is about hitching her up. So this is a series all about politics, manoeuvrings. I mean, they always are, isn't it? It's about who's got what strength on who. Now, ultimately, in the centre of all of this, the one man who seems to be most in control, and I'm still a little bit confused as to why he's got such leverage over Tommy Shelby, is Oswald Mosley. Why is Shelby so scared of Mosley? What is it about the political machinations of where Shelby is? Or is it that Shelby isn't scared, he's simply working for the government to get the information? Because that's what he keeps saying, everyone needs to trust me, everyone needs to trust me, I'm going to uncover him.
Well, I think, and he had his plan, didn't he, to uncover him? He got him to sign this cheque because he connected him to... But it's not going to work because everybody is all connected up with everybody. A bigger question for me is, why is Mosley so wanting him so badly?
Well, I think Mosley is... Well, here's the thing.
Mosley hates gypsies.
Here's the thing. Mosley is based on a real factual character, but let's face it, Mosley doesn't get killed in real life, and half of what's going on in this doesn't happen in real life, so they're playing fast and loose with real life characters. Mosley was a bully boy thug fascist who masqueraded a little bit like someone else we can all think of in the public realm, running his own political party. He masqueraded as a voice of reason for those put upon and sections of society that wanted a scapegoat for all of their ills.
Just like Hitler.
Just like Hitler and just like someone else I know. And so I think, in a sense, what we're being asked to believe is that really Mosley is just about getting the three groups, like the Italians in the south, the Billy Boys.
I get that. What I don't understand is why he's, on the one hand, pulling him so hard and wanting him so badly, but at the same time, is it just his sadism, his masochism, his psychopathy, that he's just constantly, goading Tommy? I mean, all that stuff with his wife and everything, just...
That's all a bit mucky,
he's such
wasn't
a
it?
good actor. Because,
he's a great actor.
Because he's such a good actor.
Great
because
actor.
I think his narrative arc is very difficult to believe.
It is. And I find Tommy Shelby's narrative arc a little bit difficult to believe with him as well, if I'm honest. I find it all a bit... But the thing is, I'm suspending belief with the sort of believability of what's going on because it's such a sort of powerful...
High drama.
Power struggle. Yeah, sorry, my computer's just got a bit funny.
And I am enjoying every moment of it, so I don't want to sound critical.
Yeah.
It's a lot of it isn't very clear.
Yes.
I'd like to be clearer on what the hell's going on.
And I tell you what, the previous episodes, I spent my time wondering who was trying to knock Tommy off his perch from within the family. So there was me thinking it was Michael. I still have a hunch that Michael and perhaps Polly, his mum, are secretly wanting to knock Tommy off his perch. No? No. Okay. What did you make of, let's jump forward then, what did you make of the whole Swan Lake scene?
I liked it.
Did you? Did you believe it? I didn't believe that Tommy Shelby would be, I don't know, there was something high culture, low culture, it was all a bit naff, I thought.
I think that's the sort of thing, I think that's nouveau sort of thing. I can buy the ballet and bring the ballet into my mansion.
Right. Yeah. But I didn't quite believe Moseley would be there with such, in his own terms,
why was it so important for him to be there preaching to these people?
And why were they so catering for his peccadillos when it comes to chambermaids and swans? And he wanted to kind of really illustrate the point that he'd already had a bit of doodah with Tommy's wife. Tommy didn't seem particularly offended by that, did he?
He was so offended.
Well, he wasn't. He was
he
playing
wanted
it
to
along.
kill him, and he said everything that was going to happen is now not going to happen because he was rude to my wife.
What do we think of Anya Taylor-Joy, Michael's wife? I mean, she's a big get in terms of a name, but she's not doing very much, is she?
Yeah, but she's revving up.
She's revving up.
God,
what do you think she's revving up for?
There's only one episode left.
Well, absolutely. We haven't talked about the next. No, and she wasn't in the next one. So Anya Taylor-Joy is looking at Moseley. So we think there's a bit of a Moseley-Anya Taylor-Joy thing going on there.
Oh, she's evil. I think she fancies him.
She's deeply callous, cold, and very, very... I've once dated a woman just like her. She was petrifying. And then Linda rocks up, Arthur's wife, in the drive, with a gun, pointing at Arthur, goes to shoot him, and who shoots who?
Polly shoots her. And
Polly
I
shoots
loved
her in the
that
arm.
next scene. With them all lifting her up onto the dining room table, tearing out the bullet.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was so... Imagine that in the theatre.
Yeah.
Imagine that scene in the theatre. Oh, it was very theatrical for me.
It was very
I
theatrical.
absolutely loved it.
And so the end of that episode was obviously Moseley taking the Swan from behind, unfortunately, which I thought was a little bit much. It made me feel a bit sick. Did it you? Why is everyone doing that on television at the moment? Everyone. And of course the Irishman proposes to Polly. So that was episode, so we're just catching up quickly. That was episode 4. And then we jumped straight into episode 5 because we've been, where have we been? Greece. We've been in Greece. So we're playing catch up. Linda isn't dead. I thought Linda was dead. It was only the beginning of this episode. Well, because at the end of the last episode we thought she was. It was
we didn't.
Yes, we did. It was the beginning of this episode where they pull the bullet out of her arm and all that kind of stuff.
No, I never thought she was dead. She wasn't going to die from a bullet in her arm.
No?
No.
But Arthur's under the misapprehension that she might still get back to him. But what do we know about Linda? Linda, to quote Nadia, has got the full-on ick. She's had the ick a long time.
By him.
She's repulsed by him, his madness
and what he
in
did
his
to
head.
that gentleman.
Yeah, and she said she only talked to him.
Yeah.
It's awful. So anyway, but what little touches that I really liked at the beginning of this episode was they were recuperating and recovering Linda on the table and pulling the bullet out. They were all getting a little bit dependent on opium.
But they've all been dependent on drugs for age. I haven't seen any of the others taking opium.
No, I know, but the fact that Polly had a little vial in her bag and such and such.
No, it's Coke though, isn't it?
Oh, is it? I thought she had
They
opium.
all take Coke.
I know they all take Coke.
I haven't seen anyone take opium.
Oh, right. Okay, well then Moseley... So we're still at Swan Lake, and then Moseley makes a huge speech at the Swan Lake event. It's like, for me...
Very well delivered.
It was very well delivered,
actor.
but didn't it remind you of someone? Made me think of Brexit. And I feel Stephen Knight, the writer, possibly here, is trying to channel some of the relevances of what's going on in Britain today in this. Because if you listen to the content of when he says Britain first, obviously Trump's America first, I quite like that. I thought it was quite a clever little parking the equivalences of the Moseley gang. Sorry, I know I'm going on. Moseley, a.k.a., could have been Mr. Farage, I thought, a little bit there. Oh, God, yes, no, so I've jumped ahead here. So, sorry, the swan sex happened in this episode.
I was going to say.
Yeah, what happened in the first episode? I thought it all happened in the first episode.
No, he said, I want the swan, have her taken to my room. Polly says, what makes you think she wants swan? She'll come and he said, because they all do.
Oh, it's disgusting.
It's so disgusting.
Why would anyone want to have sex with Moseley?
Oh, God, lots of women like that.
Really, do they?
Like, disgusting, like power crazy, egomaniac, yeah. Oh, I
tell you what I was surprised by with the whole Moseley thing, and this is an incidental detail in history, is the fact that they quite brazenly called themselves the British Union of Fascists or whatever.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was thinking, at that time, was fascist just
It was just it was like communism, fascism.
It wasn't.
I mean, communism. Although communism was an extreme political viewpoint, it wasn't. It was seen as a viable point. I mean, you know what I mean. It was seen as part of a political spectrum. And I think fascism. I mean, here's the thing, and it's part of our history that we don't really want to embrace. Churchill didn't turn away from fascism for ideological reasons. I hate to say it, he didn't. Churchill turned away from fascism simply because it wasn't convenient on a sort of diplomatic political front. And so consequently, it's not surprising that fascism could have and did take quite a hold on this country. And I like the way this series is actually being quite politically on point there, even though it's kind of going off point when it goes to the biography of the people. So yeah, I mean, again, Mosley talks about the fact that they're all fucking gypsies. And so you know that gypsies don't fall within the purview of a fascist.
I thought it was the same as being Jewish
absolutely.
Or communist or gay.
And then we had a major moment in this episode is the bomb. We have a scene where Tommy Shelby's younger sister, her partner, who she's not really into, it's a very curious relationship that, isn't it?
Well, she likes him and she's pregnant with him and, you know, and she's lonely, and it was a time when it was difficult, I suppose, to have
a black partner.
A boyfriend,
He gets blown up. Mm-hmm. I thought he got blown up
just
by football.
After Tommy has asked him basically to blow the whistle on Mosley because he's got this piece of paper that Mosley has signed, you know, connecting him to the Irish gangsters. And actually it was a terribly sad scene because he says he's just about to be sent off to Jamaica, was it? They were going to send him?
Yeah.
So he had actually, his whole career had been ruined already by trying to feed information about Mosley. So you're already feeling how tight the grip is of the fascists. So I thought that was quite a touching scene.
Yeah, I did. I really felt that this episode 5, obviously we've got the final episode coming after it, it very much was a sort of like a coiled spring doing this, ready for the final explosion in episode 6.
God knows what's going to happen.
And part of me kind of feels that they need to sacrifice someone quite significant because I don't believe...
They will.
Yeah, because I don't believe...
I reckon those will go.
Sorry, it is late, that's why we're both quite tired. And because I think that one of the criticisms is given how dangerous it is to be a Peaky Blinder. I wouldn't believe that they'd have all got through 6 seasons or 5 seasons to this point.
No, he lists a great load of them that have died.
Who?
Freddie,
but we don't remember
when he was talking to his friend in the asylum.
Yeah, who the hell was the guy in the asylum?
Well, I don't think we were supposed to know who he was.
Obviously, he's a colleague
We got the information. He was one of them. He'd been writing letters, blah, blah, blah.
I thought it was a great performance by him. I thought he was very good.
Was it awful?
What was awful?
You're in the dark with no
I think
hands.
you've been in an insane asylum.
No, please don't even say that.
I think you have, in a previous life, been trapped in a...
I thought that was so sad, that scene. Oh, imagine that. He offers him the cyanide and he runs for it. And then he thinks again, he goes, no, what if things change?
And things do change. By Tommy, that's the bit I didn't get. He offered change. He said, I'll get you out of it and you can be my sniper. Isn't that what he said?
Yeah.
So things did change.
So his plan is that he will blow his mate, his ex-army mate, out of the prison, and then he will sniper Mosley dead whilst he, Tommy, and Mosley are stood on the stage together.
Now, of course, Mosley doesn't die like that in real life, so this is where the series is parting from reality. Arthur's on an absolute mad one, because now he's
on a bender.
Well, he's on a bender because he knows that Linda is no longer a friender of him on a bender. Because, and so Arthur's becoming an absolute sort of manifestation of twitching insanity. Trigger-happy twitching insanity. And I quite like this sort of frisson between him and the Billy Boy. You know, I think the Billy Boy's very good, but it's just his accent's a little bit lacking. Anyway, so having all the asylum stuff, final little detail, stylistic detail I loved. Playing Atmosphere by Joy Division at the funeral. Tip-top touch. Did you know that was Joy Division? That was such a good touch.
I love the music.
The music is brilliant.
I love the shots.
Yeah.
That weird one when he was coming through the arch and it was turned upside down.
Yeah, absolutely. That was all great. So I thought, great. I felt totally teed up, totally ready for an explosion on our scenes next screens next Sunday, don't you?
Join us here.
Who's going to die?
Please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. And please like us. And please tell your friends you
Even
like us.
if you don't like us. We don't like us.
That's how you do like. That's
how
you do. I don't like.
Yeah. She doesn't like me, and I don't like her. But like us.